You should not honor men more than truth. Plato. Introduction. This is a simple book about the truth. It is neither fiction nor a book that wishes to turn the reader toward or away from any religion or belief. It can't and won't change anyone's life after reading it. Furthermore, it doesn't want to pick a favorite doctrine, clash with any, or form the basis of a new one. That's because everything has been said before, and that makes its writer less of an architect and more of a mapmaker. He connects the dots and serves as a guide but not a spiritual one. No need for him to be someone gifted or of a specific origin. No need to channel an ethereal entity or a higher power. No need for particular insight or intelligence. The truth is for the average sentient, self-aware being. It's for all. This book could start and end with the paragraph above, but it won't. That's because the writer feels an itch. It's a challenge to organize one's thoughts into something coherent, into something that ideally makes some sense. Can it be done? This itch, as a desire that could be fulfilled, chains the writer to reality, as all desires do, but also lifts him to the sky as the truth unfolds between the lines. He is in a limbo phase, somewhere in between, and that may make him ideal to express the ultimate truth. Sadly, it doesn't feel that way. It feels more like being entangled. Another issue that occurs as he moves on is that he can't help but notice how nonsensical trying to express and explain the truth feels. As we all know, it was shared before by charismatic people, prophets, masters, and saints, all vastly superior to this human being, who is struggling to put together a few words about reality or the divine. The author can and will seek help, try to stand on the shoulders of giants, of marvelous men and women that came before him and spoke the truth in their own words, or through their actions. There is yet another bump on the road for the writer. Deep in his heart of hearts, he knows the truth to be as he feels it to be. The puzzle is in his mind's eye, complete. But what if he wants to see it that way? His brain can fill in the gaps and connect the pieces as it sees fit, as it is ordered or used into putting thoughts and words together. No matter how many times he'll use pompous expressions like ultimate truth or divine power, everything boils down to one thing. What he puts on paper or a bright screen can and will be his opinion only. No matter how smart, insightful, or elaborate his deductions are. The writer's truth can emerge only from his point of view. It will always be an objective truth. Only one thing left to do. He must stay still and be calm. The hurdles may then flip into something favorable in his mind, something to use to his advantage. For example, the writer doesn't use his mother language while putting these sentences together. He could hope, then, that this will limit him to simple, easy-to-grasp concepts taking shape from simple words. After all, the truth is for everyone. We'll see it time and again further on. If words cannot accurately describe a majestic sunset, how can we expect them to outline reality or the divine? Typing out the truth is without a doubt not the ideal way to define or try to explain it. On the other hand, language is supposed to be our best tool, our finest code so far. We could try to work with what we've got. If poets can do it, maybe we can too. As for objective and subjective truth, the same can be applied to any belief. The preacher, the prophet, the saint, no matter how wise or insightful, always try to communicate their truth. In the end, whether we pray to Krishna or Christ, even as people of faith we all have a personal way to believe, a way to communicate with God that is our own. No one else knows of it. We can only see the divine through our very own eyes too, paint our own image in our head, and that will always be an objective perspective. If we are ready to overlook the concepts shared in this book, we should be equally ready to ignore even our deepest rooted beliefs. There is no hard or soft truth here. Just truth. It's in our best interest, religious or not, to be open-minded when seeking and exploring. We can only embrace reality, or anything actually, with open arms. The eternal questions. The big question. The one humanity has tried to answer since its first steps on this wonderful planet. To be precise, it's a set of questions, each more puzzling than the one before. Is God or a divine power really out there, and what's it like? What's our purpose, if any, in life? Can we find this divine power? Can we feel its presence? Science, philosophy, and religion All still struggle to offer admissible answers but sadly end up mostly fighting each other about their authority or ability to express the ultimate truth. As if this wasn't enough, the many religions all furiously fight for exclusivity over the big answer. It's all about having the best God, the true expression of the divine power. To this day, this has led humanity to large-scale conflict. Millions of lives are lost over dogmas and symbols. Fighting over the truth is wrong on every level and only proves that we either don't hold the truth or that we do not want, or do not feel the need to grasp it. Should religions believe in a loving omnipotent God, then killing or destroying creation in God's name, the maker of said creation, can only be an idiotic move. Most consider nature to be a divine expression, and it should teach us that life is destined to flourish and evolve. Unearthing a tree won't teach the surrounding vegetation a lesson. Killing someone, or eradicating a rival group, won't make our religion or God stronger. It may lead one's church to bigger influence, power, or profit, but no one can claim that it is the divine plan. We'll encounter the same concept time and again. The more we examine, the more we circle truth, the better our understanding of it will be once it's revealed to us. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. This is the best starting point because the ultimate truth can only put an end to pain and suffering. It can take away conflict and ruin. The only truth we should accept is the one that sets us free. Why is there such a furious clash between religions, and how does the ultimate truth guard itself from it? Buddhism states that the ego is the source of our missteps and misunderstandings. It's easy to see how it works, should we be honest and clear-headed. When we hear the truth or even a radical new idea, instead of evaluating it and offering our thought and attention, the ego kicks in. The only thing we can think about is how this idea can work for us. We twist the idea a little, or a lot, so we can present it as our own and take credit, or adjust it so we can benefit from its application. When there are two versions of the same idea, good old ego grabs the wheel once more. We must find out which version is the best. If it's our idea, we have to flesh it out, defend it if needed, and present it in the best possible light. If necessary, we must belittle the rival idea, even if our own concept originated from it. We're also, sadly, used to doing it. In science, forming a new theory and trying to overshadow older research and the mind behind it, is the norm. The history of science and technology is filled with memorable rivalries between scientists, brimming with low jabs and unbelievable trash talk between people of high intellect and huge egos. If this is normal in the rational field of science, it's easy to see why loosely interpreted religion turns into an all-out war. There are times when a party claiming to hold the truth becomes greedy and depraved, falling into another ego trap. It's easy to assume then, that within this group some people will want to differentiate and steer clear of all the crookedness presented to them by those in charge. They might feel the need to express their faith differently, in a manner that will hopefully protect them from corruption and greed. A branching path or an entirely new religion can be formed under these or similar conditions. Christianity is the undisputed champion of branching paths and mostly violent splitting of its devotees. Apostolic, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, Lutheran, and Baptist Christians are just a few of the thousands of denominations present around the world today. It's hard to misinterpret or twist the meaning of something like "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself," Matthew 22:39, yet Christianity was split into many groups even in its early days. There were strong opinions about the true nature of Jesus Christ. Some believed he was just a man, others thought of him as a purely divine creature, and still others believed he carried both the divine and the human nature. Long story short, the first big schism in 1054 split Christianity into the Roman Catholic and the Orthodox Christian churches. In 1517, the Protestant Reformation took the Catholic Church by storm and gave birth in the following centuries to thousands of Christianity offshoots. As stated, all this was followed by violence and carnage. Events such as the 8 Years' War and the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre are just a few of the conflicts directly resulting from Christianity's divergence. The 30-Year War, which brought pain and despair to the entire European continent and took millions of lives, was, in part, a war about religion. Ironically, for most Christians, the message Jesus Christ shared is clear as day: and one that cannot be altered or twisted in any way. It's easy to see then how the ultimate truth can guard itself against pain and suffering. It must be absolute. To be precise, it's absolute by design, as we'll further discover. That's what ensures the power of the timeless principle against any harm that may occur, by accident or ill will. Writing it down won't make it stronger, ignoring or refuting it won't make it weak. This may sadden those eager to offer their valuable opinion or elaborate on it, but as stated, it can never become a divisive mess as it passes through restless, confused, naive, or egoistic minds. That's what the ultimate and the ultimate truth is there for. It's been around since the dawn of time, long before humanity showed up, and will be there, unchanged, forever. Enlightened. Our newfound understanding should get the ball rolling and lead us to the next question. Can we feel the divine presence during our lifetime? It's what the Buddhists call nibbana and what the Christians refer to as holy grace, the visit of the white dove, the Holy Spirit. It's what the Jewish call dvekat, what the Hindus call moksha. The moment man bears witness of the divine power and wisdom. Enlightenment, being a similar concept in almost every religion, seems like a good indication that it exists, proved by people who have found it. There is a hefty list of influential, profound masters that didn't just discover the truth but felt it right down to their bones. Some felt the need to teach the truth, others just chose to live by it and followed a path of offering, comforting, and expressing unconditional love for their fellow human beings. We tend only to notice the differences between those wise teachers, especially because we're called to pick a side, but their similarities are those who can offer us another hint, help us take another step to grasp the ultimate truth. They comprise people from every walk of life: composers, carpenters, princes, scientists, poets, lawyers, philosophers, merchants, artists. They are from every corner of this magnificent planet, spread over the entire recorded human history. It would be safe to say that there is no visible pattern, no shared characteristics for those reaching nirvana, and no barriers for those who have or want to witness the divine presence. It's easy to take the ancient Greek mythology and religion for mere fairy tales of a time long gone, but if we take a close look, we'll discover interesting bits. We don't only have Zeus, the father of all gods, but we have the traveler's god, Hermes, the agriculture goddess, Demeter, and the artisan god, Hephaestus. We get the goddess of wisdom, Athena, the god of arts, Apollo, and the goddess of hunters and wildlife, Artemis. We even have the god of wine and festivities, Dionysus, the goddess of home and family, Hestia. Ancient Greeks saw the divine in every aspect of human life, in every blacksmith, farmer, hunter, and poet. Maybe they were onto something. Most people never witness reality in its true form. Some get a quick glimpse, but others witness this magnificent energy dance, unfiltered reality, in their everyday waking life. Is it possible for anyone to reach an enlightened state? That would be an absolute definitive yes. It makes no sense to exclude anyone for any reason. After all, the common ground between all the big masters is simple, as truth is. They all came from a woman's womb, all walked the same earth we're standing on, all drunk the same water we do. So, while the answer to the possibility of witnessing reality can definitely be a hint and part of truth's nature, the fact that everyone can reach such a state might be the ultimate truth's backbone. Why? It's easy to see why. The truth is always there, should we wish to find it. This isn't obviously the first time it has been revealed to us. A library, and we'll see similar parallels down the line, is something dead. Fire can't burn itself, and a book can't read its contents. Paper, leather, and ink are inanimate, silent. We need hands to open the books and flip through the pages, eyes to take in the words and sentences. We need brains to process the valuable information. That's when something really happens. The information is always available when life is present. If there are intelligent life forms 1,000 galaxies away who seek for it, they will eventually find the truth we're about to discover together. The same one, because there can only be one, for all. There isn't one truth for this part of the universe and another one for the rest of it. Although the religious texts do share it, I and my Father are one, John 10:30, they usually act as guides for those looking for it, fully aware that if followed correctly they can only lead us to the real thing. The heavily tweaked Bible, changed over and over during its lifetime, contains the truth as well. It can't be harmed or twisted. It is obviously stronger, above and beyond those wishing to manipulate it for profit or power. We tend, though, time and again, to put the message aside and focus on the individual sharing it. Almost every religion of our time is about worshipping the messenger. Who cares about Mother Teresa's or say Buddha's ideas? Let's find out what their favorite dish was. We try to live their lives under similar conditions, as if this is possible given that most lived hundreds or thousands of years ago. How could this offer anything to anyone? Even if we consider these holy masters as people who have witnessed the divine, we obviously can't reach the truth by their path. We must find and follow our own. The true messenger knows he or she is unimportant. This creates the feel of a humble person but emerges from the simple realization. The true messenger doesn't fight with her ego or pride when delivering the message. She is always well aware of her place in this world. People sharing the truth never try or struggle to appear as unassuming or gentle. They just are. That's one of truth's strengths, that no one can claim exclusivity. You can't sell it, can't buy it, trade it, blackmail someone for it, or hand it out as a reward. It can only be offered. We can even stop being frivolous about a secretive group of people, hiding the truth from the rest, taking advantage of it to rule the world. Once more, it is available to all. No need to descend into darkness to find it either. No need for sacrifice, dirty secrets, or sins. What good will the truth do us if we're lost and broken when we find it? It may come as a revelation, a sign we should change our ways, but pain and suffering are not needed. Should we torture our body to lift our soul? It may burst our bubble, but it's not necessary. Can the true divine enjoy the extermination and torment of its creation? Isn't the true face of the Maker that of a loving mother? Can God fill the road that leads to her with broken glass, poison gas and sharp thorns? It's not a coincidence that Buddha found Nibbana right after discovering that asceticism and punishing the flesh wasn't the true path to enlightenment. He found divine wisdom the day he took a refreshing dive in Ganges' waters and ate a bowl of milk and rice offered by a handsome girl living in a nearby village. Empty your cup. This is the first step we must take, and it really is an important one, although we tend to ignore it. We can't add water to a filled cup. If our ideology or belief is cemented in us, then anything new, even an opinion or some fresh information, will slip right out, never be a part of us. Read or listen to these words 1,000 times, they will offer nothing. They may amuse or raise some interesting questions at best or worry or make us angry at worst. Wisdom is knowing how little we know, is what Socrates, one of the greatest, if not the greatest philosopher of all time, voices, and we can't help but think that many wise masters of the East would nod in agreement. We've all seen people with cups filled, locking out every new concept and idea even from a very young age, and it's always a sad sight. Be open-minded when you exercise the art of daily living, as a painter would be when facing the empty canvas. To put it bluntly, if we read this as a Buddhist, a Christian, a woman of color, a New Yorker, a Protestant, or a poor man, we'll miss the point. Totally miss it. Whenever we pick a side, a camp, we also feel the need to defend it. After all, it's nice when we share the same ideas and opinions, when we're on the same boat with people around us. It feels good. Why not make them feel secure in return as we, share common experiences or beliefs? Would we sacrifice our open mind for our group? Doesn't feel like much of a loss, but the open mind is the one and only path truth can take to enter us. Carry no luggage along. Like it or not, this is a journey within. They are of no use. Read or hear these words just as a human being, a sincere traveler moving through space and time on a planet we call Earth. The emptying cup origins are often attributed to the East, where skillful masters loved pulling the rug from under their students' feet. The idea was to have them feel lost and confused about the things they thought they knew concerning the world around them. Rarely does anyone mention Socrates. The method named after him as Socrates and his fellow speaker start a conversation about an abstract, hard-to-define notion or idea. The philosopher guides students and friends through clever questions to the conclusion that they are unaware of the true meaning. Once reaching this point, with feet firmly set on the ground, they talk through it together, trying to solve the mystery and understand what it's all about. The first step we must take when learning anything new is the acceptance of knowing nothing about it. If we're honest, our interest in it is the only information or incentive we may have. It may be a skill, a craft, or an idea, playing the piano, programming, revealing the form in rock, canvas, or clay. We can't even imagine how playing the guitar feels, until we actually grab one and sense the weight, form, and structure of the instrument. We all had a fellow student in class rushing to raise his hand to speak, to answer even before the teacher could ask a question or point something out. There's always such a kid. Most of the time this kid doesn't even have something of relevance or value to share, they're just letting everyone know that they know. That they're there. There is so much insecurity in this, sadly. We love the sound of our voice, and this is a big problem nowadays. If only our thoughts are in our head, all we can think about is thoughts. Or wonder why we're thinking about thoughts in such way, and that's another thought. A thought we could question because. It goes on and on. Stop the wheel, close your eyes, empty your cup. Put your sword and shield down for once. When defending your camp, you're ready for battle. Conversation bores you, thinking bores you. Funny how our curiosity is what brought us here just so we can order it to shut up because we now have it all figured out, and it's not needed anymore. This isn't even a piece of spiritual advice, it is an applicable one, useful to artists, scientists, craftsmen, students, and traders. To all. Once more, and we'll be using this a lot, simply because it's one of the greatest messages Jesus shares in the Bible. Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Matthew 19:14. Inquisitiveness is key. Little children are the true explorers of the thing we call life, even at the point of risking harm to satisfy their never-ending curiosity. This is a parent's delight, without a doubt, but still so necessary. Another reason kids' mentality is close to the enlightened one. We're right to think that little girls' and boys' brains are like sponges, absorbing all information with ease. What also happens though, is that most of the input comes from experience, using the full array of available senses, body and mind working together to discover this, that, and the other. The truth shared here isn't to hold dear forever or tattoo it on our forehead for others to see and for us to remember. It's a tool that people will use and put away when not needed. As Buddha said, you do not carry the raft on your back after you have crossed the river. The only honest argument against the truth is that one may not need it and doesn't want to know anything about it, and guess what? That's perfectly fine. I don't know and I don't care? Have a nice day then, enjoy your meal, game of chess or favorite film. The truth will be there, whenever you'll need it. When you're ready, it may take you 1 day, 1 year, or 1,000, the truth you'll find will be the same. Again, the more we fiddle with the concept of the ultimate truth even before unveiling it, the more we understand its true nature. Following the same pattern, we can assume that a good messenger never feels panic or agony for delivering the message. A good messenger is well aware that anyone can realize it, looks forward to it, and is fascinated by the human reaction to it. They are never scared by the thought that the truth may disappear into thin air once they're gone. Because the truth is there, forever. Available to all. Even from a religious standpoint, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, John 1:1. God and Logos, Word and mind are one. Truth is woven into reality, truth is reality. There were occasional thoughts about scrapping all this, all the information shared here, but the writer was inclined to press on, as the realization of its lack of urgency or even importance strikes him to the core. Another man or woman will find the truth and feel the urge to share it with the world. Information, money, and energy are dead when hidden in a drawer, locked in a human mind. They need to spread out, move around, and evolve. Empty your cup, and you will witness the everlasting motion, the pulsating dance, as you realize you're always a part of it. The scientist and the lab rat. The scientist and the lab rat are such a fantastic duo, both working vigorously to expand knowledge even if the latter is unaware of such a noble goal or goals in general. The rat goes through the maze only to be fed, to survive another day, another challenge, perhaps another maze. It goes on and on. Since the lab rat is unaware of the reason behind it all and the scientist is wise and in control, it's easy to consider us people to be the lab rats and the divine to be the almighty scientist. This seems like a good parallel, as there is a huge gap in wisdom, power, and understanding of what is, between those two as well. Should we take a minute to ponder about it, we might come to some fascinating conclusions. The scientist really needs the lab rat. It's where all the data comes from. No outcomes, conclusions, or fancy graphs can be generated on their own without the rodent. The best scientific tools are nothing without input, without action and reaction. So, if we consider our scientist to be fair, then she would agree that the lab rat is crucial for the research. Nothing can be done without it. If we consider our scientist to be honest, she would also admit that the reason the whole thing comes together is that the scientist wants to learn more about herself. The research will broaden her understanding, will probably lead to some intriguing conclusions. Every religion puts the divine power in the center of creation, the maker of all. So, God, or however we want to call the divine, creates the vast universe, and then what? We can build world's fastest computer, power and boot it up, then stare at the screen. What will happen? Nothing. The divine doesn't put the world together to prove anything to anyone. Creation is the only step the vast void can take, just like motion is the only thing one can do after being completely still. Without something alive though, something doing this and that, the entire thing is still, pointless, dead. With what can the divine populate the cosmos? After all, it is all there is, the Alpha and the Omega, the seen and the unseen, everything. Back to the scientist and the lab rat, it seems like they're up to something. The scientist decides to put a camera on the rat to see what it sees, then adds a heartbeat sensor to monitor the pulse to get more data. The scientist adds this gizmo in that device, and comes to the only logical conclusion. For my own sake, I do this. How can I let myself be defamed? I will not yield my glory to another. Isaiah 48:11. The scientist must enter the maze. That's the only way for the research to be complete. The one inhabiting creation in its divine state may raise some interesting questions, however. Can we lock ourselves in a room when we know we can easily, at any time, open the door and walk away? How intriguing can the puzzle be when we've made it and know the exact steps needed to solve it? Can the book we wrote take us by surprise with a clever, unexpected twist? In other words, is there any point for the scientist to enter the maze carrying his or her intellect and wisdom along? The scientist knows all about the challenges he or she put together. It will be boring to go through the maze, and most importantly won't generate any valuable fresh data for the research. No exploration, no surprises, no wrong turns will be there for the woman or the man who made the maze. So, the one doesn't only become many, it also forgets all about its power and wisdom to populate creation. It becomes me and you, here and now. We'll see the wave function again down the line, but we all know that when you hit the bottom you can only go up. We could wonder about how much time anyone can spend at the top, 1 year, 1,000 years, or more. In the same way we dream of power, of everlasting bliss, the divine may wonder what puzzles and limitations feel like. That's because it doesn't face or know any in its omnipotent state as the mother, the maker of all. It wants to play that game too because it plays all in every game, the seen and the unseen. The divine is everywhere. It's the metric system, the building block, and the foundation of this world, or any world. We can now easily pinpoint what consciousness is. Consciousness is the divine within, witnessing and exploring creation through a fresh set of eyes over which it has no control. This seems like a good description of the one shared consciousness. This realization leads us to the truth we're looking for. I'm one with the divine and so is all. That's it. Well, why not say something like God is all and be done with it? This statement can perfectly summarize the truth shared here, yet it can falsely guide us to the poor little me train of thought, which is absolutely wrong. The divine fills the entire creation in the same way water overflows an empty jar. It fills the entire thing equally. There is no tiny corner somewhere somehow, left without water. Moreover, I'm one with the divine and so is all carries a nice duality we can explore. Notice that there are two statements here, the I'm one, and the is all, and they only work together, never apart. I'm one with the divine can easily be the claim of a confused woman or a foolish man positive that they're the Pope or the reincarnation of Cleopatra. When put together, however, they can only be a wise man's, a wise woman's point of view. When you witness the divine in all, including yourself, you've reached enlightenment. The first part is also the easy one, whereas the second is extremely tough to grasp. It's easy to say I'm one with the divine when you're young and rich, confident and strong. Can you say the same about the poor man? Can you say the same about the beggar man, the thief? This really is hard. Can you see the divine in your irritating neighbor, your ex-husband, your torturer, your enemy? Even if you understand the ultimate truth, it's hard to feel the celestial power and grace in any other than your close loved ones. It's easy to see the divine in your adorable sinless infant, or your perfect other half. Can you feel the same for an old, ugly, smelly drug addict? It's almost impossible, yet it's the leap of faith one has to take to reach grace. Jesus was accused of sharing his table with drunkards and courtesans, and this was one of the arguments his prosecutors used to lead him to crucifixion. He knew he was one with all, calling people he met brothers and sisters, sharing the same Father, the same blood, the table, the fish, the bread, and the wine. Ancient Greek philosophers found this truth using ironclad logic, others uncovered it in prayer and meditation. Some found it standing on the shoulders of giants, just like we're trying to. Hinduism, Sufism, Buddhism, and Christianity all talk about this truth time and again, yet we all deliberately ignore it. We pretend we've never heard about it before. Some even fight and argue about their religion or guru being the only one aware of the truth, when the message shared is exactly the same. God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. Acts 17:27. Plotinus, one of the most important philosophers of the Hellenistic period, states that the one becomes many as it reaches the state of being able to observe and be observed as the mind, the maker of creation. The divine is totally unaware of man-made concepts, its own power and wisdom eludes it. It definitely needs no eyes to see and know all, yet it needs us to witness creation in the same way we need our noses, ears, and fingertips. Never, ever consider us to be divine tools though, we're in this together. We share the pain, the joy, the agony, the wonder. Just as an honest scientist will admit the research is futile without the cute little rodent, the divine is well aware that creation is pointless without us living, breathing, curious, marvelous beings. The sun was a symbol of the divine power for eons and undoubtedly is a life-giving force for our planet, but it would just be a burning sphere in space if life wasn't present. These are Zarathustra's very first words as he greets the mighty sun. Thou great star, what would be thy happiness if thou hadst not those for whom thou shinest? Thus spoke Zarathustra, Friedrich Nietzsche. It's easy to see why when no one is around, the falling tree doesn't make any noise. What we hear is the vibrations of the event reaching our inner ear and traveling through our brain as electric signals. Air is pushed away, there is clashing, and millions of particles fly around, without a doubt, but if there are no ears, there is no noise. This also dissolves one of our biggest issues, that's what truth is supposed to do. If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:31. Is there any meaning to it all, to life? The answer is quite simple, there is none. To be specific, no man-made goal or ambition can truly describe our life purpose. No point in giving to the poor if we consider them to be filthy, lazy fools. No point in standing at the center of the temple praising the Lord for others to see and call us virtuous. No point in amassing fame and fortune if we're hollow inside. No point in being kind and caring because we must, because we were promised an elated afterlife. There is only one challenge for us. Can we discover the divine within us during our lifetime? We pity the lab rat as we pity ourselves for living a purposeless life. The rodent does indeed lead a life lacking vision and resolve until it figures out the truth. It is one with the mighty scientist. We're one with God, forever. Unearth it and reach enlightenment. Miss it and there is absolutely no harm done. Just make sure you've lived a full, happy life. If this sounds nihilistic, we're totally missing the point. The lab rat won't offer anything to the research if it stays still, curled up in a corner. We're supposed to explore this world, to fiddle, to feel, to question, to love and be loved. The truth takes away the stress of the destination. While it is still important, it's pointless and always miles ahead, if one can't appreciate and enjoy the trip. Life is not a problem to be solved but a reality to be experienced. Soren Kierkegaard. There is no need to reach God when you know the divine is, and always will be within, not by virtue or choice, not through pain and suffering, but by design. As stated, the best way to test the truth we've discovered is to pit it against our biggest problems and fears and find out if it really can set us free, as Scripture voices. Every truth we face, or to which we are exposed, should be assessed using this method. If it is about hate, harm, or dismay, it's a truth worth leaving behind. If it's about punishing some for others to prosper, it's a truth one must avoid. If it solves an issue only to introduce a new one, it's a truth one should ignore. Equality. I am one with the divine and so is all. We're not just sharing our qualities and characteristics as people of the same gender or skin color, the divine is within each and every one of us. If we grasp this simple truth, equality is a non-issue. It's so hard for us to match our progress to our emotional intelligence. Everything moves at a different pace to the maturity needed to control, sustain, and help it flourish. That's how we end up with millions of people dead by the hand of their leader in the name of sharing, in the name of a prosperous, happy life for all. That's how we end up with an economy that favors numbers and charts but produces homeless, depressed citizens. Time and money, man-made concepts that now rule their masters. We really don't understand how, say, social networks operate, given that they adopt rapidly evolving technology and algorithms. Sadly, we end up using them the same way an ape would use a piece of wood: bang it on others' heads and see what happens. It's a sloppy method that, as expected, rarely yields positive results. So, one of the hottest debates of our time is whether God is an old, white-bearded man, or a 43-year-old woman of color, mother of two. This may sound like a silly dispute, and it obviously is, especially once we realize that the 43-year-old woman bears the divine too. The power, the wisdom, and the harmony of the one is within her. This simple realization instantly guards us against all doubts, debates, actions, and reactions of stress or fear in the name of equality. It all goes through us, never touches us again. Ever found yourself in a forest during dusk? It's easy to mistake a rock formation or a tree for a person or a beast. Low light tends to fiddle with our brains as imagination struggles to fill in the gaps. But when we finally realize that it is a shadow or a tree, we never again get to see said trees or shadows as odd forms or figures, even if we try to. Knowing shifts our perception of this world. When we see a man or woman going on a passionate rampage about some revolutionary ideology that will reshape the world, no matter how intriguing, romantic, or naive it all sounds, we still see the divine in motion. You don't have to prove that you're equal to someone when you're well aware that you're one and the same. No need to find arguments or even pick a side. Shaming? Words as deadly as bullets? Only if we allow them to be. Thanks to our modern societies and economies, an unborn baby might have a debt but really has no ethnicity, name, or religion until it's brought to life and birth certificate forms are filled. Instead of lowering our gaze when facing the miracle, we're eager to record, categorize, and put all kinds of labels on it. The true self is without tags, a breathing living creature sucking the oxygen and the world around it with its five senses, unaware of what is what, of man-made concepts like shame and sadness, hope and beauty. A blank slate full of potential, a clear piece of paper. At this fundamental level, we're all the same, identical. No names, nations, or narrations to distinguish one from the other. Word of notice, since this is a trend of our times, there is absolutely no need to destroy the labels and man-made concepts to be happy and wise. We just have to see right through them. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands, so, the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as seemed best to him. Jeremiah 18:4. The divine molds and remolds creation as it sees fit. No need to demolish the old, to put the new together. We need to play the world game to understand what it's all about. Engage with it to unearth the truth that's hidden in plain sight. Does it matter if we win or lose a game of chess if both players have no clue of what chess is? Buddha was playing the world game, even after attaining nirvana. The wise man wasn't running around naked simply because he was enlightened. When hungry, he ate. When tired, he went to sleep. He was teaching and traveling a lot, taking care of his disciples, and forming the first Buddhist Sangha. He was meeting landlords and potential sponsors, reciting sutras to his students, constantly shaping the foundation of Buddhism as we know it today. Without a doubt, he was a busy man. He wanted to spread his message, so he didn't mind that he had to follow protocols and man-made structures to see it through. He wouldn't have been considered wise if he couldn't handle them after all. We play the world game too, but when facing hardship or suffering, at times we reach the point where we say enough is enough. We then lose all interest and become bored or do something extremely silly. If we find the world game to be boring or nonsensical, why not run around naked? We don't, simply because we still play, trust, and need it to an extent. Some claim to be mentally dysfunctional, losing all sense of self and the world around them. The problem is that they do it with their hair combed, their clothes on, their stomachs filled, their makeup on. Self, or rather ego, is still there, strong as ever. If we ultimately play the game by its rules, why not play it properly? In our desire to evade anything that bores or brings us discomfort, we'll use any tool, any possible excuse. Taking orders or having to obey the law? No, thanks. Enjoying the fruits and pleasures modern societies offer? Yeah, obviously. We want to have our cake and eat it too. To idolize madness, we even try to drag wisdom close to it, while they are worlds apart, the mad scientist, the disturbed genius artist. As stated, a wise woman or a wise man doesn't run around naked, doesn't crave attention, pity, or admiration, doesn't steer away from distress or obligation, and doesn't want to impress or confuse through messy thoughts and actions. Judaic law found Christ to be guilty, then dragged him to be punished by the Romans, the rulers the Hebrews loathed. Right after his arrest, his students had all sorts of plans to help their master flee to near or far continents. There were many people, followers, students, friends, even political parties that wanted the Son of Man alive, each for their own reasons. Until the very end, Jesus Christ refused all and any help and chose to follow the path to which he had been led. If you feel the need to reject Christ's life story and message, you might want to study the similar fate the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates faced. The wise man was ill-judged by the Athenian court for corrupting young minds with his ideas and was sentenced to death by drinking poison. Another harsh, unfair penalty, followed by an agonizing, painful end. Socrates' students were determined to set him free, but their master decided to obey the law and pay the unreasonable price. Both masters' reactions could cause us to doubt their judgment and wisdom. Why didn't they want to save their lives? After all, they were dragged to unjust trials by people who feared their teachings could change the status quo and mess with established interests and affairs. Their wit and insight could have saved them. Still, they chose to follow their sentences and face their bitter conclusions. It's easy to see why. They decided to play the world game till the very end. This is why hot-blooded young rebels rarely have an impact on society. One may grab a hammer and break cars and storefronts to make some sort of statement, but obviously not have a clue about how the whole thing works. Unsurprisingly, he ends up hurting mostly those around him and finds himself in jail, harmed, or in trouble. We must emerge through it, learn the rules to beat the game, to solve the riddle. It took Christ 3 days on the cross to beat death's game. It took Buddha 7 days under the Bodhi tree in meditation to beat the pain and suffering, the samsara game. Inanimate bodies and spirits reaching the edge of the universe. All the wise men of the ages, as mentioned, played the game by its rules. They were strongly affected by the culture, the language, and the environment of their time and place. Even their message took a slight hit as it was filtered through the religious and social beliefs of each era. This is the only struggle we must undergo. We must emerge, to ascend and see through this age and its concepts to move into the next one. There is no need to fight, to eradicate this world, so we can build it from scratch. The truth alone can set us free. Ever wondered why there are saints who rise to the sky to deliver the message? Buddha is said to have been a teacher of the Devas, divine creatures visiting earth, far wiser and mightier than mere men. What can the mortal soul offer God? What can the lab rat offer to the scientist? Simple. It's the truth, reality as is, from a unique perspective, our perspective. The fall of the actor's mask, the riddle answered, the end of the maze. We then witness the divine wearing our face and smiling at us, and although we're in the presence of the being that put the universe together, we feel calm. And then we talk, like good friends, and we know the divine will be with us always, as it always was and will be, forever. Our unique perspective, hardships, and joys, all of it. A rich man's view isn't more valuable to the divine because there is pleasure and luxury in it. The divine transcends that. No one knows what plenty is better than the maker of all. Everyone's perspective is just as important and treasured by the divine, no matter if he or she is poor, rich, colored, white, Christian, or atheist. It all gently cycles back to equality simply because equality is a vital part of the truth. I'm not this, and you're that, I am one with the divine and so is all. There is a little story about people getting really close to God by working together before any nation borders or language barriers were present. The Tower of Babel, however, isn't the closest point to the divine a united humanity can reach. The truth shared here is stronger, taller than the infamous tower, simply because the distance from the divine implies separation and proximity, and there is none and never will be any. I and my Father are one. The Holy Trinity in Orthodox Christianity is portrayed as a triad, homoousios, and achoristos, meaning of the same substance and inseparable. Consider the first line of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, which is followed by a comma, but a full stop would work just as well, if not better. To be fair, the rest of the text takes us through the steps we should take to ensure that the self-evident truth will be applied, respected, kept safe, and delivered to future generations. All men are created equal, that's the only declaration, the only law we'll ever need. Why does such a simple and elegant concept elude us? A lawyer, for example, after 4 or 5 years in law school, is so perplexed and eager to defend the effort, money, and time spent there, that he or she forgets the truth and ends up a keeper of the laws, the small print beneath the truth. He or she has a clear view of the forest while absolutely missing what a tree is. Read again, people aren't equal because the Declaration of Independence says so. People are created equal. The truth doesn't need guardians, armored knights, or angels to protect it. It's eternal, indestructible, and almighty. No point in dragging it down to fit our measure, our needs, in fear of having to grow or rise to reach it. All men are created equal, that's all we need to know. Still, we try to add more to this, think our little brick will make a pretty cathedral, that we are important as well, worthy of adding up to it. We don't have to, however, the truth is right here. The cathedral is within. Death. When we're well aware that we're one with the divine, when we know the power within is the one keeping galaxies and atoms together, nothing can stop us. Death can't stop us. Seems like a tough thing to comprehend, however. Jesus Christ, as mentioned, did beat death at his own game, but right before the cross, at the Mount of Olives while praying, the Son of Man manifested doubt and fear, just for a second. Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done. Luke 22:42. We eventually get to see death through the eyes of the divine, if the truth is within. What is death? To understand, please pause the video you're watching, the music you're listening to, or stop reading for 4 to 5 seconds. Did you feel the agony, the suffering, the void surrounding you during the pause? No? That's exactly the right reaction, simply because you're aware that it's easy to resume your tune or book. That's death's power as seen through the wisdom the truth offers. It's a pause. A pause that may even be there mostly to make us appreciate the play. The space between notes that creates music. The pause of rain that makes us value the importance of sunshine, or the other way around. There is one pause though, that seems suspiciously important. Gandhi said, "Each night when I go to sleep I die, and the next morning when I wake up, I'm reborn." According to Greek mythology, sleep, hypnos, and death aren't just friends or family, they're twin brothers. Sleep is a short death and death is a long sleep. So maybe, we have something in our lives that can teach us what death is, and get us mentally prepared for it. Scientists will agree that the dream is a tool preparing us for possible scenarios and outcomes in our waking life. It seems though, that the dream really is a tool preparing us for all and any possible scenario. We may be in another man's or woman's body, or seeing life through the eyes of an animal up in the sky, or down in the deep ocean. Or in any silly, mysterious, inexplicable situation the brain may fabricate for us or connect us to. Can anyone define the range dreams cover? The places they may or may not take us? Where we find ourselves in a real place we've never been before, back in time or way ahead, into the future, or being petrified with fear in a nightmare? Our dreams may take us there too. And then we wake up, every morning. A quick, slightly frivolous example we may recognize is when we hit the bed while being beaten up by sheer exhaustion, lack of sleep, or because we're intoxicated. It's funny how we feel like we've closed our eyes only for a few minutes, yet discover 6, 8, or more hours have passed. The dreamless state where nothing happens, that's the pause we're looking for. When we have a non-experience and even dreams aren't present, time passes in the blink of an eye. Casinos use this trick with no windows or clocks on the wall, to distort time in us, to their advantage. In a mental state with absolutely no point of reference, no floor under our feet, and no sky above our head, in our mind's eye, time stops. It doesn't matter if we spend a minute or a year there, it's no more than the ticking of the clock. Surely, most people have experienced this timeless void at least once. It's no accident that this is also considered a higher state of meditation, close to nibbana, obviously when triggered at will. This void is what Buddhists call sunyata or emptiness. Note that for Buddhism this emptiness isn't just a dark void but an empty canvas waiting for creation to unfold, nothing and potentially everything, at the same time. Sunyata is linked, intertwined with creation and life. This is the opposite of what Western civilization considers emptiness to be. Not knowing also changes our perception of this world. It's when we miss the shadows for terrible forms lurking among the trees. Emptiness is a never-ending void for us, dark and frightening. Silence is a terrible noise that can drive us crazy. When attending a funeral, we all have a specific expression painted on our faces even if the deceased is a man or a woman we never met or about whom we never cared. It's easy to spot parents explaining the whole stance and expression to their kids, to help them act the part, right before the ceremony. Our state of mind is important, and we'll see it again down the line. Buddha went through this pause during Nibbana. It's bliss, never-ending bliss, but as an ultimate state it puts us out of time's reach. They say the enlightened one is even in danger of turning to solid rock, the so-called stone Buddha who feels no rain on his shoulders, no wind on his face. He is deprived of all and any external data, nothing, he is in the moment before Genesis. Genesis is the Greek word for birth. So, Buddha went through Nibbana and bounced back. In a way, he decided to get up and went on to teach. Praying or meditating on human bones is a part of many religions around the globe, perhaps in hope that we'll one day strip death off its shiny armor and see it for what it is, a pause, a shift. More than 2,000 years ago, a young man approached Pythagoras, the ancient Greek philosopher, with an odd request. He had a weird dream and wanted the wise man's opinion on it. The dream was about the young man having a conversation with his father. However, the father was actually long gone. It only took Pythagoras one sentence to explain, and while the answer might be puzzling, it may still lead us to some intriguing impressions. The conversation between you and your father was as real as the conversation we're having right now. Most will rush to somehow drag the dream world close to the real one, yet the opposite may be true. Our world might be fiction, a product of the divine mind, like Chuang Tzu's butterfly dream. The philosopher had a dream about being a butterfly. He could feel the breeze on his body as he drifted from flower to flower. It was such a vivid dream that when he awoke, the master came up with a fantastic question. Was that me, dreaming I was a butterfly, or was the butterfly dreaming it was Chuang Tzu? Once more, the vast majority will consider the philosopher bearing the vision of being a butterfly while totally ignoring the second, more fascinating option. The dream world or mirrored existence is what ancient Greek philosophers and Hindu sages believe in. Plato's cave and Godhead's dream of reality have been known to us for thousands of years now. Rumi agrees and offers a hint. Poor copies out of heaven's originals, pale earthly pictures moldering to decay. What care although your beauties break and fall, when that which gave them life endures for aye. As stated, when the dreamer is present, death and deterioration are unimportant as the dream goes on. When God is all there is, the Alpha and the Omega, who really dies? If some may feel that such thoughts would promote something unwise like suicide, it would be better to think twice. Apart from the pain and suffering such action would bring to our loved ones, there's more to consider. Our choice, one we're always free to make, of prematurely leaving this world behind is a clear indication of totally missing what the truth is. By not knowing what a fantastic gift life is, by ignoring the beauty and the grace that surrounds us, we prime a follow-up plane of existence that would be bathed in confusion and despair, just like the one we think we flee from. Western belief also talks about an everlasting bit within every human being. Then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who gave it. Ecclesiastes 12:7. It's the divine seed we call soul, yet no one takes a minute to think about what it is, about what it means. Locking a timeless element in a dark box forever, as some believe death is, beats the purpose of having something like this within us in the first place. People who believe in the bright heaven above and the cold dark hell below, are clearly misguided. Eternal pain, eternal joy, or a dark never-ending void are non-experiences. They have nothing to prove, nothing to teach or add, void of any real value and purpose. What we also fear regarding death is another misconception, the loss of identity. It's the fear of losing our accumulated data or memories. The things we love, our talents and skills, feelings and emotions. The truth, though, tells us the divine is within, always. Let's explain it once more. The divine is enthralled watching the reality it put together, through a set of eyes over which it has no control. We're here to rediscover creation's beauty, so our input can only be important, nothing is lost. Jane Doe's autobiography may be extremely boring for you and me, but it's fascinating for the divine within. Why? Because it is unique, because it is the divine experience, as God is all. Twins of the same sex and appearance, brought up under the same roof and conditions, still develop totally different personalities, perspectives, and behaviors. It is worth pointing out that this is the norm, not the exception. Every human experience is unique. After the pause, we do carry on. It's not entirely reincarnation though. Our new self is another mask the actor wears, for the new play. Our only problem, as we've seen, is that the actor gets too carried away in the craft and forgets that this is another stage. She finds herself in you and me, living the part with fear and agony, passion and hope. Right after enlightenment, Buddha went through all the lives that led him under the Bodhi tree. Nothing is lost. All the actor should do is remember that he or she carries the divine within and all will be revealed. Just like equality, the puzzle of death is solved the very moment truth is established. The view from your window during last summer vacation, the face of your mother, the sight of your enemy, sounds and smells, feeling overwhelmed by pain or ecstasy, everything you experience is sacred and valued by the divine. There will be many though, who either have filled cups or are willing to change their fear not with the truth but with another fear that may ask a specific question. Where is free will in all this? Are we all puppets of this divine? Once more, the divine is enthralled watching the reality it put together, through a set of eyes over which it has no control. No control, that's the only way the game can be fun, the riddle worth solving. There is no other way. Even if we're sneaky and try to bore the divine by staring at a concrete wall for hours, the divine will see all the minute details, lines, cracks, and changes in color and density on it. It will come back at us, should we wish to listen, and thank us for presenting such fascinating patterns to it. The divine can't be fooled. How about a clean, white wall then? No imperfections. The divine will dive within, and if it finds chaos, we will manifest chaos. That's how white prison cells drive people crazy. If it finds peace within, however, it will manifest as peace, inspiration, and harmony. We can't trick it because it gets what it needs through me and you, whether we bang our heads against the wall or paint a masterpiece on it. War. When we're well aware that every one of us carries the divine, war looks like this. Push your hands away, so you can see from the elbow down. Just imagine your left hand slapping the right. Right hand grabs a knife and stabs the left, which in turn grabs a gun and shoots the right hand, and so on. Do we need to describe how silly this is? It literally is self-hurt. That's war, it's suicide. What's even more bizarre than this act taking place is that others may watch this and, instead of trying to stop it at any cost, just think, left hand should win this. Or, everyone knows right hand is stronger, or even, left hand wins, and we'll be rich. The New Age movement is responsible for turning some elegant, simple concepts into catchphrases. We're one, the divine within is the same. That's pretty much why we'll never watch celestial beings burning the sky as they furiously fight each other. You can't be an evil hyperman, you can't be a good one. When you are a hyperman or hyperwoman, that's all you are. All you can be. We have and may witness technology giants or big nations producing such impressive imagery, sadly, but never divine, enlightened beings. Why? Because they're of equal power, each carrying the force of the one within. They're also well aware of this, so there is no point in comparing power or wisdom. They're infinite either way. You can't have massive, divine power without immense wisdom. They only go together. That's the failsafe of this world. The moment you find the power to eradicate everything is the moment you fall in love with the beauty and the flaws they present. There can't be anyone more or less divine than the rest. It's always fun watching people acting as if, or asserting that they're superior to most and more spiritual or enlightened than others. One might be in the state of seeking, compared with others, but cannot affirm that he or she is closer to God than the rest. I am one with the divine, and so is all. There is no measurable or comparable distance between us and the divine, none. What religion or some guru can do is steal your watch and then sell it back to you. This realization, however, shouldn't get us mad at them. This is what we really desire. The truth can never come from the lips of a friend, a mind-bending experience, or a glorious vista. Not really. There must be pain and loss and suffering, perhaps some more pain right after. That's how we reach the divine. There must be tears, agony, and sacrifice should we want to witness ultimate bliss, power, and wisdom. That's what we're told, that's what we know. Even so, that's what the scripture states. You have made known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. Psalm 16:11. The divine can only be a fountain of happiness, and since it is eternal and omnipresent, the entire creation is joy. There is only one thing one can do right after enlightenment, said the Buddha. When you realize how perfect everything is, you will tilt your head back and laugh at the sky. We've got to be cautious because if we wish for cleansing through pain and suffering, we might be wishing for war too. Some even think that trouble, misery, and conflict can make one humble, but only the truth can. The realization that we're not better or more important than others in the eyes of the Creator, our eyes. When our enemy beats us down, do we become humble and recognize our opponent's strength and cunning, or do we lower our gaze in fear of getting beaten into submission once again? Fear can't turn us into humble or wise people, can't take us anywhere or offer anything. In the same light, God-fearing people really can't be considered religious. The divine has absolutely no need, no concept of fear. The divine is all, there is nothing to oppose it. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Revelation 22:13, everything. Your right thumb can't and won't attack you, so there is no trace of autothumbophobia or whatever you could call it, within you. The Creator doesn't have an enemy because there's no one around, no use or need for one. The divine doesn't even know what an enemy is. Religious people often say or think that God is all but won't take a minute to ponder what it really means. Can the tree and lumberjack be rivals? No. Both must be enemies, and the tree sees no foe. That is why it never jitters when facing the woodcutter's axe or chainsaw. Not saying the tree doesn't feel, far from it, but fear is nowhere to be found. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Matthew 5:5. The image most have about the so-called meek is one of gutless people only caring about their skin, but this is way off. Such people could never inherit the earth, as Scripture voices. The true meek, the gentle, is in a state that sees no enemy. We stick our sweaty, angry face against hers, and she still sees a brother, a sister. We all agree that Mahatma Gandhi was a brave, wise man, definitely not a coward. But I believe that non-violence is infinitely superior to violence. Forgiveness is more manly than punishment. The meek can only be a daring man, a brave woman. Their stance against violence is the best humanity can take. Be wary of those ready to start a war, even for the noblest reasons. It all connects to death and equality, as we've seen before, because the truth is within everything, as all is one. The enlightened, the divine has no fear of pain or death, no fear at all. This instantly turns the opposition obsolete and easily solves the war riddle. Following our train of thought, one might be under the impression that conflict isn't all that bad. The divine is fascinated by every bit of information, any form of human experience. War might seem like an opportunity to witness bravery, fear, hope, and the list goes on. While this is true, we can always switch the flames of war to the flames coming off a rocket's nozzle. A rocket that will allow us to travel through this solar system and beyond. Bravery, fear, and hope will still be there, and the divine will be just as pleased. It won't have to experience the annihilation of its creation but rather its journey through the cosmos it put together. Dystopia. A dystopia can't be a long-standing state of affairs for a nation or the entirety of humanity. If that gets us too excited, utopia isn't possible either, at least for more than a set amount of time. A utopia is destined to generate a dystopia and vice versa. The divine knows these states, they come and go. A good torturer knows that they must change the methods or the instruments used on their victim. That's because the same pain, applied in the same manner repeatedly, offers the opportunity to the sufferer to phase out and at times even to ignore the strain. It is the same with bliss. Can we really say we're happy when we've never been sad? It's easy to become tone-deaf. We should mix things, have a bit of both. We've seen this before, but life and reality move like a wave. It's not just everlasting but ever-moving too. It's no coincidence that wave patterns are everywhere in nature, from atom particles to vast galaxies. We witness their presence time and again. Reality could be visualized as an ever-moving pendulum. There is no need for a constant wave too. Our mood, our faith in us or others, weather, or music, everything has its own distinct but still varied and dynamic rhythm. Remember, the system we call the cosmos is far from a machine, it's life, it's evolution, creation. It's in our best interest not to disturb the cosmic rhythm. Feel free to read the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. This little book is a pillar of truth that reaches the heavens, it is wisdom condensed. Read it even if you find it confusing or nonsensical. If the truth we're talking about finds its way into you, read it once more, and you'll positively have a few nice aha moments. If you try to change it, you will ruin it. Try to hold it, and you will lose it. Our most beloved motivational catchphrase nowadays is change the world, but when this idea takes form within us, balance is disturbed. We must find something wrong with the world to fix or make it better. Imagine if darkness would win, wouldn't that be terrible? Some say in hope of sounding righteous and caring, above all else. Well, kind of, if we consider darkness to be just an empty, black and vacant sea of nothingness. As stated, this can be the starting point for creation, but let's say that at first, it sounds pretty boring. The opposite doesn't sound all that exciting either, blinding light all over the place and nothing above or below it. Both extremes are at either side of the pendulum we call reality. It's the brief moment the pendulum stays still, right before speeding towards the opposite direction. It's only when black coexists with white and the two dance together to generate fantastic shapes and patterns, that's when things get interesting. A glass of water and a glass of ink are on their own boring, no doubt about it. Throw a few drops of ink in the water though, and see what happens. Sadly, when our pendulum swings to the right camp grabs it and tries to hold it at the edge. This is our time, we got to give everything we got. The same thing happens when the pendulum moves to the left. People seize it and hold it as dear life depends on it sticking close. Our truth will shine bright for all. Both are totally unaware that they only damage the flow and perpetuate the far edge moments, leaving little time for the space where left and right, black and white, darkness and light, coexist. Not to mention that holding the pendulum in either direction only ensures that it will speed the other way eventually and spend just as much time there. This really has nothing to do with politics, it's all about balance. Hindus use the kalpas as a circle of creation, growth, dissolution, and death following one another, eerily similar to the circle of life. We'll all die because we were once born, there is nothing we can do about it. It seems that we enjoy suffering though. We love being victims at the center of attention or fiery bright knights, liberators of humanity. No matter which side we pick, we'll always need someone against us, facing us. We can't fight a cloud, we require someone to bear the enemy tag for a proper clash. A masochistic endless cycle of saviors, tyrants, war, and pain. Brothers, sisters fighting each other to the death to fulfill their vision, a better world for all. Isn't this insane? How can conflict and carnage ever solve an issue, big or small? The Tao Te Ching, although a few thousand years old, sees right through the good Samaritans of mankind. Try to make people happy, and you lay the groundwork for misery. Try to make people moral, and you lay the groundwork for vice. Can't we see how nature handles its everlasting cycle? Winter is some sort of hiatus that looks like death for some plants or animals, but the world still goes on, never feels the need to weep for the naked trees and the animals freezing or sleeping through the harsh season. Nature knows spring will come, and everything will be back to life, blooming flowers and tall trees filled with fruits will come again. And again. We know from experience that fiddling with nature can only make things worse for all. We can only trust it as we can only trust each other. A fabulous Greek writer, Nikos Kazantzakis, talks about a man going through the woods and finding a cocoon. He wants to witness the miracle of life but is also in a hurry, decides to warm the cocoon with his breath. The procedure is sped up, the hatch opens, and the butterfly falls on the man's palm. She is very weak though, underdeveloped, she definitely needed more time to ripen and to slowly unfold its wings under the sunlight. She dies a few moments later. Instant gratification sounds nice at first but always chips away an important faculty, patience, from us, till there is none left. Follow the rhythm. It's everywhere in nature but sadly absent from modern woman's thought and life. Seems like we've got no excuse to. We have a beating heart, the wonder of breath, we can sing, clap, and dance. The rhythm is indeed within us but at a deeper level. Dancing won't save us from a hungry lion, so this feature of ours is moved further back or somewhere deep. We can access it but not through conscious action. Not by sheer will, but by following the rhythm and letting go, that's the only way. That's why traditions and ceremonies make good use of dancing and singing, they have the potential to connect us to the deeper self. My body is a temple, many say, but no one knows who lives in it. We sweep the floors daily, brush the walls to restore their luster and beauty, and we do well. Do we care about the temple's resident though? Not much. Somehow though, deep in us, we know only one answer can reveal the true identity of the one hidden within. In a living temple, only the living God can reside. The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth, and does not live in temples built by human hands, Acts 17:24. It's the best temple ever made too, formed by nature and evolution in a billion years journey of trial and error, of growth and adaptation. It's our very own body. An enlightened man, an enlightened woman can never be a tyrant. A tyrant strives to put himself above all creation. A wise man, a wise woman knows he or she is always one with it. Evil. There is no such thing as evil in this world. None. Every evil deed is brought to life by human hands, realized by twisted or confused human brains. In Genesis, for example, right after creating this and that, during the days of creation, God proclaims everything in it to be good and very good. There is no evil present. Tradition and ceremony, no matter how brutal or gentle, emerges, again, from people's minds and even changes slightly as time goes by. Just a few thousand years ago some civilizations thought that human or animal sacrifice was the best way to please or soothe the divine. The ultimate truth can only be everlasting. It's not just for today or a few hundred years down the road, and then we'll figure something out. It is forever. Truth needs no revisions, no second thoughts, no footnotes. It is valid for this world and every world in this vast universe because it speaks about the everlasting divine of the everywhere. Sadly, we love clinging to old ideas that seem outdated or to fresh ones that just showed up and sound intriguing. We stand atop concepts and dogmas, ready to defend, deliver justice, and even torture, blackmail, and kill for them. Thus, through them we become the evil we're so eager to crush. There really is no external force, no heinous hand pushing us around or thundering voice from the deep ordering us to be rude or harm people we don't like or agree with. If there is a voice directing us to do this, that, or the other, we may try to be honest for once and trace its origins. We'll find out that the spooky voice really is an excuse. It's a silly, bitter seed we plant within and carefully cultivate, giving it flesh and bones, so we can have an excuse to be nasty to others. It's easier to harm someone when backed by strong emotions. If they don't exist, no one can stop us from putting them there, on our own. No one can prove that we did either. It also offers an escape route when things turn sour. No wonder some love and constantly use the vile whisper as justification for their actions. Devil made me do it. I'm an innocent man. It's really hard to find true evil in this. Even if we like the concept of an evil force, we'll have to agree that it would still be a creation of the divine, given that it is the maker of all, visible and invisible, and therefore feeble against God's might. This may explain why evil is so powerless in scripture and religious texts. The devil in the desert tries to tempt Jesus and offers him kingdoms that stretch as far as he can see. Jesus Christ is well aware of the ultimate truth. I and the Father are one. He knows he is one with the Father, ruler of things known and unknown, of the entire universe, and the devil offers him the kingdoms of this world. Can we seduce the beach with a grain of sand? Another example is from the life of Siddhartha Gautama, also known as the Buddha. Buddha's last temptation, right before enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, was the three beautiful daughters of the evil deity called Mara. Siddhartha was born a prince, and until he married, as a young descendant of the throne he had every pleasure or companion he ever wanted. Feel free to read about the wise man's life, it's fascinating. There was even a prophecy for the prince. He would either be a spiritual master or an almighty warrior king. His father obviously favored the second scenario, so Gautama spent his youth sealed within the palace walls, away from suffering and trouble that could awaken the spiritual seeker within him. His time was filled with graceful dancers, music, and big feasts. It is said that even senior citizens weren't allowed in the palace for fear of showing the fragility of life, and suffering from old age to the young prince. He was firm, rich, and mighty, living a life filled with all the earthly pleasures we can imagine. Can anyone tease such a man with three beautiful girls? Is it possible to use a drop of water to entice the ocean? Can anyone tempt with 3 gorgeous women the heir who left all this luxury behind to find the way to end all suffering, the way to Nibbana? The enlightened master even said that the triumph over Mara isn't the victory of man against a sinister deity but a victory over the self, the ego. The real root of all evil. Adam and Eve were never forced or blackmailed by the serpent to taste the forbidden fruit. They were just tempted and could have easily dodged evil's bait, simply because paradise had everything they could ever ask for. It may be a symbolic tale, and we wouldn't be around to talk about it if we take it all too seriously, but Adam and Eve had every right to ignore the snake and obey God's will. It's easy to notice how the serpent appears right after human confusion is presented, in the face of the forbidden fruit dilemma. Not coincidentally, as stated before, evil is not a part of the divine creation, it's just our doing. There is no such thing as evil, man alone can conceive and materialize it, give it form, substance, life. It is a boogeyman, made to keep small and big kids alike on their toes. It's the south we put on our compass so we can claim we know where the north is and what it's like. It is a mutual agreement between people who have absolutely no clue about what is what. It really does not exist. Some might wonder, if there is good in this world, there must be evil too, right? Well, there is no such thing as good in creation either, like it or not. There is a positive twist in the face of nature's evolving and expanding power and divine love towards and woven into creation, but that's all. Universal qualities have no opposites because they're never part of duality. The tree doesn't offer its fruit out of kindness, it just bears them. The lion doesn't eat the zebra out of spite, it just needs to be fed. Earthquakes and tornadoes are not tools of mass murder made for severe punishment of sinners. They're natural phenomena that occur when and where specific geologic or atmospheric conditions are met. This is, or should be, common knowledge by now. There is no evil in nature and no good, at least not in the way we define it or love to hold dear because it's what we were told. It was once good to slaughter the infidel in search of a wooden cup. It was once good to torture and kill people threatening the purity of our race. It was once good to beat our kids for them to behave and show respect for their elders. Is it now? Are we sure that today's blessing won't be tomorrow's curse? Isn't our definition of good and evil too wobbly, to lay our lives on and offer our strength to? Once more, duality is a good vehicle for understanding physical reality, but in enlightenment, duality dissolves into singularity, into the one and only, the divine. This is another reason why language fails to explain the higher state of mind we can reach. When we're obsessed with beauty, we might turn ugly inside. Try to be too kind, and we could become selfish. Strive to be the smartest man, the smartest woman alive, and we might go crazy. It's very hard for our brain to comprehend such connections between concepts because the opposites are at either side of the spectrum and shouldn't in any way connect or even come close to one another. It doesn't make sense when it occurs, it sounds silly. Poetry and philosophy seem random and nonsensical at times, simply because they're aware of the weakness the code we call language bears. So they, especially poetry, decide to play a game with words, to arrange them in odd ways that may surprise, confuse, or get us emotional. Meaning and message leave their throne, for flow and feel to wear the crown. We've seen this early on. Enlightenment is an experience that cannot be defined. Every attempt to express it will fail. That's also why we're not trying to describe what it is or how it feels, we only deal with the truth that comes with it or leads to it. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. Seems like Lao Tzu is expecting us to throw his book, the Tao Te Ching, away. If he speaks about it, he clearly doesn't know. Why write a book about the thing you do not know? It's such a huge contradiction that we can only presume the writer is either silly, crazy, or a show-off who tries to impress us with fancy wordplay that makes absolutely no sense. Everything is explained in another verse. The scholar learns something every day, the man of Tao unlearns something, every day. This statement does concur with what we've seen so far. The ultimate state is free from duality, free from pain, bliss, success, or any other man-made concept we can throw at it. It is free from everything we think we know about it. Get rid of them, of fake knowledge, and you will only find the truth inside. Remember the importance of emptying our cup? Once more, we can't fool the enlightened. We're free to throw Lao Tzu's book out the window because we don't get it, and the old fox will still smile at us. You did well. Bravo. Good and bad, beautiful and ugly. We'll never see an ugly cloud in the sky, simply because the sky doesn't know what beauty is. There are no such concepts. They're man-made constructs to lose ourselves in, and escape when ready. So, if the lack of good bothers us, know that there is no invincible axe hanging above our neck and never will be one, unless we put it there on our own. It's really time to move on with no evil looming in the distance, gone forever. It's time to be fully responsible for our actions. It's time to put the horned guy to rest and move on. Love? Trying to replace universal love with sexual love is like squeezing an elephant down to fit in an empty box of matches, then finding comfort in thinking the crushed mammal in the tiny box is, for all intents and purposes, still an elephant. Love, as the foundation of creation, cannot fit in a heart-shaped box of chocolates. As practical beings, we easily perceive what dominates our senses and stick with it because it feels tangible, real. How many songs or poems can anyone recall about carnal love? How many about universal love? Once more, we enjoy simplifying concepts, stripping them down until we can grasp them. We've even brought the parental love down to the carnal level to offer an explanation we can comprehend. When given a single leaf, can we guess what the whole tree is like? If we watch a single stroke, can we figure out how the entire painting looks? No, unless we've already seen it and know it. Is sexual love still love? It obviously is, but we don't have the full picture until we understand what universal love is. It turns out that our definition of universal love is also messed up. Let's get this out of the way. Love isn't a man-made concept and doesn't fall into the duality spectrum. We tend to put it there, but it really doesn't belong, for it is as broad as the cosmos, divine. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. 1 John 4:7. God can only be love as the creator, the mother of all. Know love, and you will know the divine and vice versa. The love we're talking about has nothing to do with cuddling and kisses. Hate isn't its opposite because it doesn't have one. There is a captivating little story about one of the Nayanars, a group of 63 Hindu saints, that may help us understand what true love is. There were once two rulers of neighboring states, one a pious devotee of the god Shiva and the other a king who desperately wanted the land of the first king. He tried to get it by force but was failing. His army was pushed away by the rival troops every time he tried to invade. Realized he had to use a different strategy to get what he wanted. He disguised himself as a Shiva ascetic, a yogi. The guards of the noble ruler let him through, and he was escorted to the king's bedchambers. The fake yogi required some privacy with the king because he wanted to deliver sacred teachings. Once alone, the saint put the phony ascetic on a throne and placed himself close to his feet, as the custom for a master and a student. The evil king then took a dagger hidden in his robe and stabbed the saint. A guard suspicious of the yogi teacher was hidden nearby, and soon the fake ascetic was surrounded by the palace guard. The bleeding king, however, ordered them not to harm the impostor and even asked to offer him safe passage to the state borders. Right after being informed of the fake ascetic harmlessly delivered to his destination, the benevolent king died in peace, surrounded by his wife and kin. He was instantly blessed and taken by Shiva to his abode and was hailed as a saint, one of the Nayanars. There are numerous similar stories about Christianity's saints, stories filled with caring, kind-hearted, selfless men and women. Yet we do not understand them. Set your rival and killer free? Guard him until his safety is assured? Even when trying to wrap our heads around it, we end up pointing in the opposite direction. We think the divine, looking down on us from the heavens, wants us to be gentle and charitable, so we do our best to please it. Even when we get no contentment or satisfaction from our actions, we still must do it because it's God's will. Only when we're aware of the ultimate truth can we realize what love is. I am one with the divine, and so is all. The rival king is not an enemy, he's the eternal, the sacred, The one. Grasp the truth and do good not because you must, but because you want to. First is, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Matthew 22:37. How can you love your neighbor as yourself? There is only one answer to this, we are one, my neighbor and I, we both bear the divine. Udat Hadivo Baba means the guest is God, and the simple phrase is the reason Hindus are so warm and welcoming to all. Greeks too. The ancient Greek god, the father of all gods and the most important being on Mount Olympus, was Xenios Zeus or Zeus of hospitality. A coincidence? Not at all. In nearly every religion or tradition there is a story of a stranger, a visitor who bangs on people's doors on a rainy night to see how he will be accepted. Some ignore him, some offer food and shelter. One thing is certain though, every knock on our door comes from the divine. Shiva is often transformed into a beggar, a saint, or a troublemaker to test people's faith. See Shiva's face on everyone, and he can't fool you because he can't fool himself. Shiva's face can only be your face too. See Christ's face on every man and woman, on every brother and sister, and you'll realize what love is, as an enlightened being. The truth shared here can set us free, just as true love can. Offer water to a child and quench your own thirst, because you're giving it to yourself. The divine in you gets to experience both ends, the giving and the receiving one. Know this, and you'll be rich. The money you give to those in need ends up with you. Not back at you, from a bearded guy watching from the heavens above who wants to reward you for your kindness. No. You literally give, whatever it may be, to you. Know this and you'll be wise. Why? Because you're all, the riches, the wisdom, the power of all, is yours as well. So, you can only be one with the divine. What's great about this is that grasping the truth even protects us from bragging about it. If our face is Buddha's face, or Christ's face, who is there to boast to? Mary, George, or Emily, the enlightened being, really has no name. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Nameless, is the origin of heaven and earth. Lao Tzu seems to agree with this. I am, is the only name there is. Even if the divine had the desire to brag about the power it holds, as we've seen before, who would it brag to? Tough thing to do when you're all there is, and all that will ever be. So, rejoice, if you wish. It doesn't matter if you live in a pit and eat leftovers, you are the richest being there is. It doesn't matter if you are depressed, medicated, staring into the abyss all the time, you are the wisest being there is, like it or not. No matter if you're sick with a fragile body, you're the strongest being there is, and so is all. Everyone is just as, but none above or below, since we all bear the divine. For a final time, the ultimate form of democracy, the ultimate form of equality. Not decided by ink on a piece of paper but woven into creation, forever. Creation can only be love. Ask a painter, a mother, a poet. Be foolishly in love because love is all there is. Rumi.